Hey everybody, it's Atheist for the Cause here, and I have got a video for you today. You know, I could take this in so many different ways. Like, I was gonna write a script for this one, and I was, I had kind of this plan in my head, but then I'm like, there's just so many different angles to take this video from, and it's the Young Turks response video, and their video is Lena Dunham thinks mansplainer dude. Now, it's not even the topic that's interesting. What's interesting is what's going on between the different anchors here, if you want to call them that, and the commentators, and they have a bit of a bickering match, and it's hilarious. So, there's just it just sparks like so many concepts, like, why don't you apply this logic further? Why don't you apply this logic in other cases? Because they have so many double standards and they don't even realize it. And then they have just like lots of bad opinions. So it's like, well, from your perspective, I can see where you're coming from, but it's a stupid perspective because you're completely wrong. So anyways, let's get into this.
Lena Dunham posted a nude selfie of herself on Instagram, only to have one of her male...
There you go, folks. Lena Dunham. Gotta love it. That's gorgeous.
...followers tell her that she was not taking a picture of her breasts correctly. Okay, so she posted this photo of herself.
This is such a petty... they're trying to be like a legitimate news source, like the Young Turks. They're supposed to be like groundbreaking online news. They're the first ever, but it's kind of clear that they're the first ever news station to make it on the, if you want to call them news, to make it on the internet, because like usually the first isn't actually that good. It's like, they break into it and they create a model and then other people take it and perfect it. The Young Turks model needs to be taken and perfected because they are so far from news that's not even funny. So far from what they're trying to be.
And one of her followers said, "You're supposed to hold the boobs up over the arm to enhance the cleavage. Getting a smushed down effect here instead. You're still cute though."
Okay, so the way I read this, I think it's hilarious that we have to go over this, but the way I read this is a fucking joke. And like kind of like, hey, show me your tits more, that's the joke here, and it's a hilarious joke. And then he says like, you're still cute though, just to kind of like, so it doesn't get taken the wrong way. But he's talking to Lena Dunham, and now it's the Young Turks picking it up. There's no right way to say a joke like this. Jokes don't exist in their world.
Kiss. So one of Lena's followers, another one of her followers, Tyler McCall, said, "Shout out to this guy mansplaining, taking nudes as a woman with breasts to Lena Dunham on her own."
My eyes are literally watering. This is mansplaining. This is a fucking joke. So now jokes are mansplaining. As if this was like legitimate advice on how to take. Like as if he was saying that she really couldn't tell that she was smushing down her boobs.
Instagram. Lena Dunham then responded saying, "This guy seems very fun. I'd love to hang with him casually."
No, she's laughing because she thinks Lena Dunham is being sarcastic. I guess I don't know Lena Dunham, but I take this as like an honest comment, like, but because it seems like how they'll all like jump on someone when they see something when someone's off the reservation effectively. They'll all like attack each other. It kind of seems like Lena Dunham's way of like saying, oh, he actually seems pretty cool, to kind of like signal to the other people like, you don't really need to attack him. He's on our side. That's what I get from this. I don't know. If you guys get something different, let me know.
Thanks, G. I was so worried about flattening my boobs and had zero skills to combat it.
Guys,
see, now this to me does seem like a sarcastic comment.
a makeup artist.
So
He's in charge of making girls look good.
Is that true?
He's a makeup artist. He's a fun makeup artist who has like these weird.
Look at her fucking reaction. Look at her reaction. She had something planned out for this. Like, because she said so, and then he said something, and he's like defending this guy right off the bat, and Hannah is so fucking pissed off. It's hilarious. And then like Jank's like, really? Is that true? And now they're like getting into a conversation, and Hannah's like in her own little world over here, and she is so pissed off.
Weird photos on his Instagram of him naked with like one of those donut.
Did you see what she did at the end there? Angrily fixed her hair.
Rafts, you know, those donut floaties, and his ass is out. And I do think he would. I think she means it. If she looked at his Instagram, he seems like he's fun to hang out with casually. I think he was joking. I think it was.
Now notice he's bringing up how this guy's naked and stuff. And at one point, I don't know if he said it here. I can't remember now. But at one point, he brings up how this guy is gay. And the reason that's important is because what he's setting the stage. Because this comment would normally not be accepted. Like, if I went and made this comment, I'd be the biggest misogynist in the whole world until they found the next one. And so he's saying, like, you know, this guy's gay, so he's setting the stage for, like, he's a minority, you know, he's cool, he's on our side, we can let him make these jokes, and he's not a misogynist because he's on our side. That's really why he's like talking about this. Like, otherwise, why is he talking about this guy's Instagram, how he's got his ass hanging out and he's naked with a rubber floaty or ducky or whatever it was? Like, it has nothing to do with anything, but this is all virtue. I don't know if virtue signaling is the right word. This is all signaling to, like, the tribe.
It was a joke, I think.
Plus,
because there's a way to say that that's like actually.
Did you hear that by Anna? It was like, ah. She is like so upset right now, and she's just dying to get in, but she needs her opportunity. She's not a very forceful person.
You're supposed to squeeze your boobs until they appear above. Like, that's more like making fun of the idea of women on Instagram who are craning their boobs.
What's funny is he's 100% right, but he is not supposed to be saying this. Like, imagine if we said that. We would again be the biggest misogynist ever, but he's in their tribe, so it's a little more acceptable. But, you know, they still get pissed at each other, and they'll still bicker at each other, and this is the type of thing that is going to create a fight here. But like, she's not gonna go straight out and call him a misogynist, you know, like she would to me or, you know, to you.
Into awkward situations. Like, there's a way to read that joke where it at least has a premise that I understand.
Where he's parroting some of the aspects of.
How many fucking parodies have, you know, and jokes have people made that are clear jokes, and it's like, you're not supposed to joke about that. That's not funny. You're not supposed to make a rape joke. That's not funny. And rape is more of an extreme example. Like, you're not supposed to make a body shaming joke. You're not supposed to make any type of joke when it comes down to it, because someone is always fucking offended.
The way that women pose on Instagram.
He didn't seem like the enemy when I started researching his Instagram.
No,
he
I
didn't
don't
seem like
think.
the enemy to me before.
So I just want to point this out. It's gonna get to the remember they talked about mansplaining and like, she's gonna make a comment about this, but so he kept cutting her off. I don't know if you realize that, like 2 or 3 times he kept cutting her off, and now Hannah's trying to talk again, and she's even pointing her pen. These are like small signals that she wants to talk, you know, and then Cheng's not looking at her, and he jumps in, and they start having a conversation again. Like, you could just see her blood boiling. She's getting so frustrated. Honestly, I'd be frustrated if I was her. I just wouldn't be making a point as dumb as her, and I wouldn't be talking about a subject so dumb if they weren't like having this catastrophic failure of a conversation here. That's absolutely hilarious to listen to.
His Instagram.
Yeah, well,
I mean, okay, but anyway, yes.
Okay. Well, I mean, here's my thing. Is I think
I hate to mansplain it.
I understand that it's probably what I'm doing.
Yep, there he understands it. No, he's like, oh, sorry if I mansplained, because you know, this is actually kind of gets me a little more serious of a tone. This is actually what happened here is very serious because he's self-censoring. He's saying, you know, he went off and he's like, oh fuck, I fucked up. You know, I explained something to a woman and, you know, I shouldn't have done that and I should shut up and let the woman explain it. And so now I'm going to say, I'm sorry, I mansplained. I'm going to shut up now. This is like the societal pressure created by feminists for men to self-censor, and it's a very serious issue that a lot of men actually are, and it's also a weapon by women that basically anytime a man explains anything, they use the word patronizing, but it's basically anytime a man explains anything, they will they'll bring it up and use it as a weapon and say he's mansplaining to try to either get him to shut himself down or get like a group that's around him to shut him up. Like if there were a bunch of feminist women or even a bunch of feminist men, they would then jump in and try to shut this man down. And it's, you know, think about like if a woman and a man were in an argument or something, a lot of times the people will come in and try to diffuse the situation in favor of the woman. Or if like the woman starts crying in public or something, like a lot of people will look down on the man for making her cry, even if her crying is like she could be being completely ridiculous. But anyways, so this is actually very serious, and we have to make sure that it doesn't become widespread in society. But there is a significant portion of the population that does self-censor like this.
Present time.
Well, you're interrupting me now, so it's like twofold.
See, she's laughing it off, and to her, it's probably not actually like a big deal that she just said that, but that's another way of trying to shut him down, is like, oh, you know, you're interrupting me. And, you know, she interrupts people too, but that's not mansplaining when she does it. It's only mansplaining when a man interrupts. And like, when you're having a conversation with this, especially in a group, it's just natural. Some people are going to get cut off because you don't exactly know when someone's starting or ending a point, you know, and when someone else is going to start up a point. And, you know, when you have multiple, like 3 people, a lot of people want to make points, so it's like everybody's trying to get in, everybody's cutting each other off. And so anytime a man cuts a woman off, it's mansplaining, even if it's an honest mistake. And it's, you know, there's no like attempt to put power over them and try to control them with power. But, you know, when she cuts people off, it's not going to be a big deal. There's no womansplaining. A woman can't mansplain.
No,
or cut people off.
All I was going to say was that I think for both scenarios, with Lena Dunham talking about how she posed, and additionally this guy, whether he was being a parody or he was actually trying to mansplain how to pose, I think it's with all of the implications that women are doing these sorts of poses for the male gaze, right? And so he is saying that you're supposed to show
as a male gaze,
cleavage.
What? So she's doing this for the male gaze. So this is their like little safe space that anybody in the public can view on Instagram, but because Lena Dunham or whoever wants to state that it's only for gays, then suddenly like all the straight men are supposed to not look, or they're supposed to not comment, or whatever. So it's the onus is on other people that don't fall within the group that they've selected to make sure they stay out of it, even though this is a public area. So they're trying to push other people off a public area.
For men to appreciate, where she's like, oh, I'm just posing a picture of my body, and maybe Instagram models are doing it for male gaze, or maybe they're just doing it for themselves because they think that's how it looks sexy. And this is something that,
and what she's like, maybe she's doing this for gays, maybe she's doing it for herself. She's putting up all these maybes. So Hannah's literally just making up bullshit at this point.
that I think I get in a debate with different people a lot about is that a lot of the times when women pose in ways that they feel is sexy, that doesn't mean that they're necessarily trying to appeal to men for that. Maybe they're just doing it because
Okay. Yeah, that's true. A woman may put up a naked picture or something not to, you know, win over men, but just to, you know, for themselves or whatever. But you put it somewhere that's public, so anybody can view it. You know, that's like me running outside like naked and then being like, don't look at me, don't look at me. I can run around here, but nobody can look at me because I'm running around naked for my own freedom. And, you know, I don't want you guys seeing me. I mean, how fucking ridiculous is that?
because that's what makes them feel sexy, and maybe that's what she was doing in this position, and doesn't matter how necessary.
Okay, so think about this. You want to take a picture to feel sexy, so you take a naked picture for yourself. Why the fuck would you post it online then? If it's for yourself, you keep it private. There's absolutely no reason to put it anywhere public if you want it just for yourself.
Necessarily, she cupped her breasts.
Okay, I was pretty sure they were doing it for the male non-gays, but.
What's hilarious about Cheng? A lot of people hate him for good reason, but actually what's hilarious about Cheng, he's a man of money and power. That is the only reason that these other progressives get around him. If you actually listen to Cheng when he's in his normal like personality, he's kind of like just a funny guy that's, you know, when he's not being political and all that, he's quite funny. But he says all kinds of things that would be extremely offensive to progressives. And he gets away with it because he has money and power, and he gives platforms to progressives. You can even see this. Look at Hannah's face. She's kind of pissed off that he said that, but he's the boss. He's the man with power, with money. He's given her a job. He's given her a platform to voice her views to others. So she's not going to say anything to Cheng, and it's going to be, you know, progressives in general are going to be okay with him being off the reservation because, you know, it's beneficial to keep Cheng happy. But if I said this or you said this, oh, what a shitstorm.
Anyway,
The male
okay.
straights.
So
Look at. We need like a term for this. Like, women do that all the fucking time, where they like perk up their lips and like put their tongue in the side of their cheek. Like, she's given, you know, some people would say it's the evil eye, but it's like, I don't know. This is we need some sort of term for this face, because she's like telling him to shut up, and he took it. He's like, oh, I fucked up.
Apparently takes, based on Brett's exhaustive research in this, on the story, takes.
He didn't even get it because Cheng's like basically making a gay joke there, like, oh, you looked into this man who's like gay on his Instagram, and like you're all up, look at how into this Instagram he is, and it's like So Cheng's basically making fun of him in a negative way here.
Naked selfies. So he might have actually been trying to give her helpful advice.
Yeah, he
So
does
that's a
take
naked
naked
selfie.
selfies.
He's got a naked selfie on there, right?
He
But
does
like,
have
but
naked. I don't know.
regardless of whether he takes all of his
Talk about missing Cheng's point and joke.
entire Instagram is naked selfies. You don't get to like go and give somebody else who you don't know advice to be like, oh, you should give yourself better cleavage.
I mean, you are projecting.
Oh man, throughout this, her entire body language is getting more and more aggressive. Did you see that? You know, that head thing? I'm doing it, but you guys can't see it. But like that head thing she just did, that's even so she's getting more and more aggressive, and she keeps trying to, like, these two are taking this not serious at all. Well, he's taking the Instagram of that gay guy pretty seriously, but they're not. They don't think this is a serious issue, and Hannah thinks this is an extremely serious issue. And I would actually be like, if I had held her view, I'd be quite frustrated, because you ever want to have like a serious conversation and you're around people who just won't take it seriously and kind of just keep getting it off the rails, and you keep putting it back on and they keep taking it off. That's what she's facing right now. So she tried to get it back on the rails, and they're both fucking laughing their asses off, but they're trying to like hold it back because they know how Hannah feels about this. So anyways, let's go.
Projecting onto him what he meant by it, which is valid. Yeah, go for it. Read it.
It's great because it's so too true. She's like projecting all of the shit onto him and why he's saying this. And oh, she's getting out. She's going to her paper now, so she's gonna list the facts.
You're supposed to hold the boobs up over the arm to enhance the cleavage. That's what I just said. I'm not projecting. I'm
Right.
reading right out.
Yeah, okay, good job. You read it again. Yeah, you're not projecting your interpretation of why he is saying, why that guy said what he said. There's no interpretation that you're projecting onto him at all, right, Hannah?
A way to say that where it's like, actually, when you take an Instagram photo, you're supposed to look off into the distance like this.
No, I
Boss.
understand.
Like she is actually doing it.
I understand your parody point, but then he says you're still cute though, which is just so like belittling.
But I think it could all.
This is gonna be a terrible video, and I'm sorry, but my eyes are literally watering. So, I've not seen a video this hilarious in a long time. Look at, when you pause videos like this, you get some. I didn't even realize he made this facial expression. So, saying that she's still cute is belittling her. Welcome to the fucking world of feminism.
Also be read as his way. And listen, if we're having this debate, he's not doing it very well, right?
Okay.
But I'm just saying, benefit of the doubt, having looked at this guy's full Instagram, it seems like he's not the enemy here.
Now, do you realize what that guy said? If we're having this debate, he's not doing it well. So it's how people react that determines whether what the guy said was proper or not. That's so, like, I mean, if someone says something like obviously out of context, or like that's obviously misleading, that's one thing. But when someone says something that's like not obviously misleading and without the intention of misleading, and then other people come along and like misinterpret that, like some of that, at least some, and I would a lot of times argue most of it is on the person interpreting, not the person making the statement, because you know there are so many different people and stuff. You can't like even come close to considering how everybody in the world that could possibly see it is going to react, and how they're going to interpret it and how they're going to think. So like what you're asking of people is impossible, and you're just giving free reign to those who, you know, want to score political points and stuff and want to score oppression points. You're giving them free reign to go and find anything offensive that they want.
Let's broaden this story a little bit, okay? So,
oh God.
I think in this case, I don't know if he's trying to be a parody. I don't think he's an enemy. I think he just might be misinformed.
Did you hear what she said? And he brought this up too. They're using the word enemy. Like, he said that he doesn't think this gay guy is the enemy. And now she's saying, I don't think he's the enemy either. Kind of, but, you know, but so they're like, can you imagine if this was said by someone who they did think was the enemy? Like, he said what he said. What does it matter if he's quote unquote the enemy or not? This is so the wrong way to have a conversation, and so the wrong way to have any chance of coming together. This is tribal politics. Like, I'm not even completely against people being, you know, a little tribal and coming together who have, you know, like-minded views. And, you know, Democrats are mostly going to vote with Democrats. Sometimes they'll even vote with Democrats when they disagree because there's kind of an alliance there. And I get that. Like, I'm not completely even against that necessarily, but, like, the way they're doing it here is like, you're either the enemy or you're our friend. And if you're the enemy, you're held to a different standard than if you're our friend. And we might still scold you if you're our friend, but if you're the enemy, you're a misogynist.
Maybe about how you're supposed to interact online or with women in general. Now, to take it away.
How you're supposed to interact, that's not how you're supposed to interact with women online or in general? Says fucking who? Where is the fucking book on how someone's supposed to interact with a woman? And who determines that? Who wrote that book? I'd like to know. And who enforces those rules? You? Who's the judge of that? You? I mean, Jesus Christ. There is not some, like, set way that, you know, you can't, like, I would understand if it, like, you're not supposed to, you know, threaten someone or something. That's, you know, that's not proper etiquette. But now you're trying to abuse etiquette and say, oh, you're not supposed to tell a woman posting a naked picture online for the world to see that she took the picture in the wrong way. Like, that's just ridiculous. That to say that there's one way to do it in one situation, like, that fits every situation, excuse me. That it's just ridiculous.
Just from Lena Dunham specifically, I have an Instagram where on almost every single picture, I get, you know, comments about how I'm posing incorrectly, how my hair, I look cuter with different hair, how this. So this is something that women
get some thicker skin. Like, men face comments all the time too. So, like, people critique your pictures. Big deal. You know, if I took, like, a picture that made me look fat or something, I would get comments that, like, hey, this picture makes you look fat, or, you know, maybe you want to have some different lighting, or maybe you want to go with a different angle. I mean, men get these kinds of pictures too, and a lot of times men will get comments and stuff that are in different ways, and women certainly will make comments about men and their attractiveness and all of that. So, yeah, it's kind of as in Hannah's world, you would be able to compliment a woman if you're very careful, because remember, even saying she looks cute, that's demeaning. But now, if you so there are some compliments you can make if you're careful, but you can never be critical in any way.
Face on a daily basis where men are telling them how they, you know, need to look to be more appealing to men. And I think that's a huge problem that we face, where men feel to...
Going back to what that one guy said, this is all a projection. Holy cow, like, I mean, there are societal standards, like for instance, thinner people tend to be more attractive than heavier people. That's just like that's a standard. That's not necessarily true with everybody, because beauty is in the beholder, but it's like largely that's how people think. And so oh shit, I forgot where I was going with that point. Hold on, let me...
How they, need to look to be more appealing to men. And I think that's a huge problem that we face, where men feel it's okay.
Oh, so someone could come along and like not necessarily be trying to tell them to, like, if someone came along and said, you need to lose some weight, or you should take a different angle so you look thinner or something, that person wouldn't necessarily be saying for them. It'd be saying like for society in general. If you want to look attractive to the public, to the majority of people in public, or if you want to bring in more people, this would be a way to do it. And then you can decide, like, oh, I don't want to do a new angle, I don't want to lose weight, or I don't want to put in the effort to lose weight, or whatever. But it's not necessarily for their own benefit.
To give women these sorts of feedback, what are just sources of criticism and just
yeah. Oh God, can't have criticism, can't have feedback. No, this is a sign that you're a very fragile woman that can't handle criticism. And this says more about you, Hannah, than it does anybody who would try to give you an honest critique. If they're trying to be critical to be an asshole, that's one thing. That's completely different. But like in this case, if he was being serious, he wasn't trying to be an asshole, and it was probably a joke. But if he was being serious, it's highly unlikely he was trying to be a dick.
A source of trolling. And so even if he's being
trolling, what the fuck? There's no trolling.
He's still trolling here and using
That's not true. That's not necessarily true that he is trolling. He's not trolling.
He's got this smile like, I know I'm gonna get pissed. I know I'm gonna get pissed on for this one, but I gotta say it. And look at her reaction. I love how the Young Turks, like, they cut Chenko and they put him side by side. And they should not have done that in this serious of a situation.
He could possibly not be trolling, because if he's satirizing the common enemy that they have of like folks who do like weird contorted selfies.
You're still cute though, Brett. Come on.
I think if that's his way of doing it. I'm saying he's not exactly doing it right, but he might just be a victim of kettling here. It's possible, but where we're kettling terrible, terrible misogynist.
Oh yeah, he's on our side. We've established he's gay, so he's on our side, and now he's making a joke, and it's okay. And maybe he made the joke wrong, but we shouldn't kettle him in with the other people who might make a joke wrong because they're misogynist. Since either they're not, they're straight men, and so they're the enemy. Especially if they're white, they're white straight men, and they're the enemy, and they're misogynist, So this guy's not a misogynist, so we should just let it go.
With this seemingly fun, happy, body positive makeup artist. Look at it, he uses a
body positive. I love how he's like, he's got to be gay, right? He is gay. Like, I'm not trying to be demeaning. It's just like he's so into this picture that in this Instagram that I think it probably is gay.
I will give you the benefit of the doubt that maybe this guy isn't the enemy and we can't lump him in with all misogynists, but this story.
A naked photo with a cat in front of his junk.
This story is
in a mirror.
So a pussy in front of his dick.
Oh, God.
A pussy in front of his dick. See, it's such and he's so fucking immature that but junk is actually hilarious. Look at this reaction. Like Cenk hasn't said anything in minutes, and then he just couldn't help himself. Anybody else, like any non-progressive who said that, you know, who didn't have the who didn't have the money and power of Cenk, and who wasn't using that to give, you know, feminists a platform to speak on, they would all call Cenk's comment like definitely problematic.
This story is indicative of a. Jeez, Brett.
Sorry.
They're laughing at her. They're laughing at her, and she just can't take it anymore.
It
It's
is
terrible. I was
indicative
bad. I
of
apologize.
a larger misogynistic culture, especially when it comes to male gaze on Instagram.
So what? Okay, I hear you, Hannah, and I'm probably being a little bit of a.
Now Cenk's coming in. He's like, okay, we had our fun. We got to make Hannah feel a little better about this. So let's you know, get a little serious to make her happy and try to, you know, somehow find a compromise. Cenk's actually excellent at doing this.
A jerk here, but like, one, I don't think it's a federal case. Two, I feel like Lena Dunham does everything in her power to attract all of the energy in the world onto herself.
This is what people say all the time, like, and they're always called misogynists, always, because you're like, what they would say is you're blaming the victim. It's like, you know, they would bring up, oh, and now you're going to be a rape apologist because, you know, when women get raped, sometimes people say that they dressed in, you know, clothing that was provocative, and then there's that whole like line of reasoning, and you get compared to rapists and all of that. So, you know, just think if Cenk wasn't an ally, if he was an enemy.
So when more of that comes her direction, I somehow feel like she's not really heartbroken over it.
I don't necessarily. I mean, who knows?
Yeah, that's exactly right. She was like, I don't necessarily think that's true. Oh shit, that's probably true. I probably shouldn't take that stance, but that's like her natural reaction is to just defend this woman and like take it in the way that helps her narrative the most, but then she kind of knows she can't get away with it here.
Doubt she's heartbroken, whether it was a troll or a parody or whatever. That I don't think is the issue, and I don't. And I'm with you that I don't agree with everything.
It's a huge part of the issue. If she's not like actually negatively impacted, then what the fuck's the problem?
Everything that Lena Dunham says or does in the way that she is carrying out her personal brand, but I do think that this is a larger problem than I think.
No,
that this
I totally get the like mass effect of thousands of people over time actually doing terrible stuff.
Right.
Oh, like, yeah. So like when,
you know what they're not saying? Okay, sure, you know, take Hannah's like right, like she really gets this all the time. She gets all these people. Okay, Hannah's, let's be honest, society thinks Hannah is an attractive woman. Okay, so if she were to post a picture or something, she's not gonna get massive amounts of negative comments like some fat ugly woman that society doesn't find attractive, you know. So she's gonna get some critiques of, you know, a lot of times critiques are like, oh, your picture's cute, but you could even look cuter if, you know, you took the picture a little better, basically. So it'd be a critique of the picture, but they're still basically calling her attractive. And like she, you know, when she gets these negative comments with this, and it's not just her, but like with most women, they're getting tons of positive comments too. But remember, Hannah views a comment like, you're still cute though, as a negative comment. That's demeaning. So if you actually call someone attractive, it's demeaning. And I even get the argument that like someone could say it sarcastically or something, but like that doesn't even seem to be the case here.
Hannah made this story larger, then I think you're right, it has more relevance because it's happening to a lot of women.
I love how he was gonna say Hannah made the story larger than it had to be. And then he stopped himself and he said to be more relevant or whatever. But he was gonna say larger than it had to be, and it's like you should have stuck with that because that's exactly fucking right. You're making a problem out of nothing,
and in much worse ways. But in this particular story, I think that if you take a naked selfie with your breasts, that people are going to comment on your breasts.
That's misogyny, Cenk. You're blaming the victim.
Is that
what are you, a rape apologist?
No, I don't think that's the problem. I don't think it's commenting on the breasts. I think it's saying that you are trying to make yourself.
What? Commenting on breasts is not a problem? Because that's not objectifying one. Isn't that kind of interesting? They haven't brought up like objectification once. They've kind of alluded to it, but they've never said the term. So if I went and commented on Lena Dunham and said like, hey, nice tits, that's not going to be like objectifying her? Like, oh, you look cute because of those tits. Oh, God. It's hard to even fake that because she's so disgusting. But Hannah would tell me I'm objectifying her, even if it's positive.
Sexy and appeal to someone else. Look, I will be completely honest that I have taken pictures where I was not clothed or in lingerie, and that was for me.
Here's the other thing. So she's talking about like, she keeps bringing up this point. It's not for other people necessarily. We don't know that why you're posting it. Like you don't even know why Lena Dunham posted it. Maybe she did post it to get props from other people. Maybe she wants like men to find her attractive and tell her that. But so you're like making all these assumptions and just making an issue out, where there's just not an issue here.
Because I felt sexy. I didn't send those to my boyfriend, like, sorry, babe. But, like, those are just for me. And I think that there's some sort of, like, assumption that if you take a picture of yourself in this position, that it's for somebody else. And that's what he was commenting on.
I know, but it's on.
Hannah doesn't have a good understanding of what attractiveness is. Because, like, sure, she takes a picture of herself or whatever, and it's for her to, like, be attractive. But really, it all comes back to like you want to feel attractive because then you feel attractive for other people. Like that's what it actually comes down to. That's your biological drive, is to be attractive, to feel attractive, and try to be attractive for other people. And it comes back to the whole biological sex drive and all of that. But I'm not saying that, just because you take a picture or something, that doesn't mean you're trying to have sex with some guy. But like in the end, it's all to try to get praise from other people. Even like if you're not showing other people and you're like, oh, this is just for me. Oh, I look attractive. It like puts in your mind that you are attractive at other times when people were seeing you. And it makes you feel more human, actually.
Instagram, if I took a picture,
it's not for you.
But
it's for everyone else.
But it can be for you to feel sexy, and it's not like you're posing for somebody else. But it's still a way
that implies you're relying on positive reinforcement for it.
Because exactly. You're feeling sexy to who? Like, it's to, you're feeling sexy to other people. That's why you care. Why would you care about being sexy if it just, if you're the only one on earth, you're only gonna ever be there's never gonna be anybody else around you. You wouldn't care as much. Like, you can actually tell, I bet when you go to bed and stuff, you don't feel like worse about yourself because you're not all dressed up in makeup and whatever because you're going to bed, do you? Like, or if, you just don't worry about it as much at certain times. But then when you go, on TV or you go out in public or something, that's when you want to feel like more attractive. That's where you put on more makeup and do your hair better and make sure you're dressed properly, not in sweatpants. Like, there's a lot of people who will put on, like, you know, I do this, I know, like, I'm gonna get, like, dressed just to go to the grocery store. Because even if I'm at the grocery store, the strangers I'm never gonna see again, I just don't want to be, like, out in sweatpants and stuff. It just, I don't know, it's just, like, I don't want people to, even if they're not saying anything to me, I just don't want people to be, like, viewing me as less attractive. I mean,
otherwise you wouldn't put it out there with a like button underneath.
It depends how you view social media. It depends how you view
No,
social media.
I kind of agree with.
Media.
No, I kind of agree with.
so
both.
wait, whether she can put a naked pic, whether people can comment on her naked picture she put up on the internet, has to do with how you view social media. So we're supposed to know, when I go on Instagram and I see all these different profiles, I'm supposed to know who's on there just because they view social media for themselves, who's on there because they view social media for their friends, and who's on there because they view social media for everyone. And I mean, if you really break down Hannah's thought process, like, it doesn't make any sense. You know, even this feminist idea of objectification of women, and I would argue there's objectification of men. It's a dirty word, but objectification isn't actually, like, a bad thing. It's basically just finding people attractive. That's what it is. And we base things like trust off of it and stuff like that. And there are actually good reasons. Like, if someone takes better care of themselves, they probably care more about, like, what society thinks, and they're likely, you know, they have the money to put into themselves and all. They're we're gonna view them as less likely to commit crimes, and they probably are less likely to commit crimes. Like, a lot of times you can tell a homeless person because of how they look.
Both of you, because I think that's why Anthony Weiner keeps.
And a lot of homeless people, by the way, like, are going to steal and assault people and actually commit crimes at higher rates because of their situation. There's a reason poor people actually commit crimes at a higher rate than rich people.
Sending out his pictures of his junk because he's proud of it, right? And he's like, look at this thing, it's really big, you know. And
he's bringing up Annie Weiner. And for those of you who don't know, Andy Weiner is the disgraced politician who was basically, like, sexting 15-year-olds, like minors, and he got caught multiple times, and it was a big scandal, and he could be going to jail for a long time because of it.
You can't deny that he has
Anthony Weiner's, like, sex problem.
Okay, so he has another set of issues, but like,
okay, so you know what's interesting about that? What, just because Anthony Weiner has a sex problem, that means that we can't use him as an example? Why? Because he's still a human. This was actually a dehumanizing comment, because he's still a human that, like, wants to be confident and get confidence from other people. But see, this doesn't fit her narrative. And the funny thing is, it was not actually funny, it's ironic, is that Lena Dunham has her own sex problem. She wrote in her book, her autobiography, that effectively how she sexually assaulted her sister when her sister was like 12 or something like that. And just playing around and experimenting. And so Lena Dunham has some serious issues, and she probably isn't psychologically all there. She's got, I'm pretty sure she has some sort of, like, psychological problems.
Like Geraldo Rivera, like, he's like 70 and he took a shirtless picture of himself because he has a six-pack or something. You know what? If I was 70, it's a little embarrassing, but if I was 70 and I had a six-pack, I'd have 100 pictures on Instagram, and not because I thought it was going to turn anybody on,
because you were
I was proud of it.
Body positivity for the win.
So I agree with you, nonetheless. But
why are you proud of it? You're proud of it because other people will find that attractive. Isn't it funny? Like, isn't it funny how people see six-packs, like society in general sees six-packs as attractive? And now you're saying if you had a six-pack, you'd want to show it to the world? Almost because you know that if you had a six-pack, they would find it attractive.
On the other hand, if I took a picture of my gut without a shirt right now today and put it on Instagram, and then people commented on my gut.
See, right here, people commented. He's worried that they wouldn't find it attractive. Point proven. It's not a fucking body positive comment. He's looking for other people to say good things about him. So he dresses in a way that, you know, hides his flaws that other people will see as beauty flaws, and he tries to you know, promote his good features. And this is healthy. There's nothing wrong with this.
I would, rightly, wrongly, positively, negatively, I would think that was the most normal thing that I could possibly expect. You see what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying, but that's a singular instance, whereas women have to deal with this on a daily basis.
It's not a singular instance. He's saying where he'd put his gut up online and people would come and make comments, and many people would come and make comments. He's a fucking, like, famous person. So this is not a singular instance. And have you seen the fucking videos about the Young Turks and Cenk, you know, specifically? It's all calling him a fat water buffalo and shit like that. Cenk gets it. Like, he's probably, like, worse than any other the Young Turks person I've seen. Like, they attack his looks and his weight more than I've seen any other person on the Young Turks get attacked. And he's a fucking man.
I'm constantly told to change my body.
See, wait. You're a woman, you're seeing it through your perspective, but you're denying the perspective of men. You're saying that, like, because you aren't a man and you aren't seeing what men go through, you aren't appreciating it. But yet, I know if I said something like, you know, oh, I get all these comments and women don't get comments like these, then you would go batshit insane and say, yeah, we do. So it's a complete double standard. This is feminism in action for you.
Or smile from, like, the person I check out with at the cashier. So I think there's broader implications in this.
Wait, what? Did she just say, was she talking about a smile from a cashier?
Whereas women have to deal with this on a daily basis, where I'm constantly told to change my body or smile from, like, the person I check out with at the cashier. So I think there's broader.
Oh God. So someone tries to cheer you up by saying smile. Like, I get told that too. People say smile. Like, it is not anything to do with looks or anything like that. It's someone trying to make, like, small talk and have a positive interaction, because, you know, most people who aren't fucking batshit insane with feminist ideology wouldn't view that as, like, a negative comment. So anyways, that's all I have for you here. I probably made this 10-minute video into, like, an hour, but I hope you enjoyed it, and have a good one.